So Jodi Cohen is a best-selling author, award-winning journalist, functional practitioner, and founder of Vibrant Blue Oils, where she has combined her training in nutritional therapy and aromatherapy to create unique proprietary blends of organic and wild-crafted essential oils. She has helped over 50,000 clients heal from brain-related challenges, including anxiety, insomnia, and autoimmunity. In the past 10 years, she has lectured at wellness centers, conferences, and corporations on brain health, essential oils, stress, and detoxification. She's been seen in the New York Times, Wellness Mama, Elephant Journal, and numerous publications. Her website, Vibrant Blue Oils, is visited by over 300,000 natural health seekers every year, and she has rapidly become a top resource for essential oils education on the internet today. Today, we're also going to talk about her new book, which is Essential Oils to Boost the Brain and Heal the Body, which I think you said is some kind of Amazon bestseller. Tell me about that.
It's kind of fantastic. It's a bestseller right now in 4 categories: aromatherapy, herbal remedies, healing, and naturopathic medicine.
Awesome.
Congratulations. I do that with books. I like take notes and
yeah, I always have a pen and I don't care. I just write in the book.
I totally do too. It helps me remember.
It does. I think they say it helps your brain hemispheres connect or something. You might know more about that than I do, to do the motion. Yeah. And I just want to say I texted you already, but I just love the physical book. It's small and it's got a wrapped cover. I was like, what is different about this book? But it's got a wrapped cover. And I sent a copy to the coach who works for me. She said the same thing. She's like, I love this book. It's so cute. Can you do your book like that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just on Amazon. But I think it's just, I don't know. It just, to me, it makes it a more pleasurable experience. Did you have input on the book turning out like this?
Well, it's a division of Random House. It's called 10 Speed Press. And so they do gift books. The idea, this deal was formulated almost a year before COVID hit. So we thought it was going to be in gift stores and spas and all these things. So we wanted it to look pretty. So yeah, that's why they printed it that way. I know, and it's really funny. They kept, it was a constant battle of let's dumb this down. And me I had to create 3 categories of, all right, I don't care that much, whatever they want. I see what they're saying, but I don't like the way they're saying it. So I'm going to change it, but keep some of my integrity. And absolutely not. I think this is important. And it was every single time they kept trying to chip away at certain things. And I'm pretty happy. I did the audiobook, so I got to read the whole thing. And there was a part of my heart that was worried that it was too watered down, but it really was quite good. So I was pleased.
It's not watered down. I mean, I haven't read the whole thing, but I sent it to my coach because I was like, this is really just a functional medicine training book, in my opinion.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the look of it, it's very gifty and stuff, but it's not a light book. But hopefully, with that, you'll reach some people who maybe wouldn't have gone this deep, but will now with this whole topic.
Well, what I'm hoping, what I started noticing both in myself and in clients is that the more they understand why certain things work and how they work and how they get the benefit they're looking for, the more, they comply. When I have really good phase 1 liver detoxification, really bad phase 2. Once I figured that out, I was like, I'm taking that. I'm going to be good on that supplement. That's important. I'll take that one every day.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. Once you know something, you can not do it, but you know better now.
Yeah. I bet most of the Hashimoto's listeners, they take their thyroid stuff daily or they feel tired.
Yeah. So it's called Essential Oils to Boost the Brain and Heal the Body. Last time you and I talked, we talked a lot about the brain and the vagus nerve and the sympathetic system. And I feel like it's kind of based that way, talking about the interaction between the brain and the rest of the body. Do you want to just kind of give us a primer on, it sounds silly, but why the brain is so important? I think we all know our brains are important, but we just think, our brains think. But our brains,
I think,
right?
I mean, I'm very aligned with what you do because I see kind of the main disruptors to health as being any kind of toxins, and mold is a really powerful toxin that then turns on the immune system, causes inflammation, and then you get symptoms. And I think the big problems for the immune system are any kind of environmental toxin or even metabolic waste if it's not leaving the body, and then stress and sleep. And I think the reason these are so hard is because it's not like you can just take a vitamin B supplement and boom, you feel better. You actually have to get things into the brain, into the sinuses, into those places that are hard to reach, because it's really, really hard to get remedies into the brain. The brain is guarded by the blood-brain barrier that only lets really small fat-soluble molecules through. That is actually what essential oils are. So I think the beauty of oils is that they can actually cross the blood-brain barrier, help to clean the cell receptors, help to calm inflammation from the inside out, help to kind of reboot the organs that are involved in the stress response. I think that the brain was actually underlooked or overlooked because there was no way to get there. Like they can't do chemo in the brain. So it's almost like, well, we can't get, never mind, can't happen, forget about it.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and you talk about at the beginning of the book how essential oils are small, like incredibly small, and
Yeah.
can penetrate and kind of. Do you want to share a little bit more about that, like why they're so effective on so many levels?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Most people don't realize that volatility, essential oils are volatile. And what that means is that they literally are so light that they can kind of fly through the air. Like you can put a bottle of peppermint on the other side of the room and you'll be able to smell it. You can smell olive oil or, sesame oil. You can smell them, but only when you're like literally smelling them. Their scent doesn't carry. And the fact that they're so volatile and so airborne makes it really easy. Like direct inhalation, literally just holding a bottle under your nose, is really the most effective way to get things
Wow.
into your system. And what people don't realize, like, why do you think cocaine is snorted through the nose? Why do you think anesthesia is delivered through the nose? Because it's, first of all, the fastest way to get into the brain, but also the skin is the thinnest there, so it gets into the capillaries more quickly. This is a really efficient way to get things into the brain, especially to get things into the forehead, the frontal lobe, that enhances our focus and helps kind of dim our anxiety and our overreaction to things. It's just this kind of like this shortcut that no one knows about.
Yeah, yeah, and well, we talked earlier about being a gift book and a spa book, but this is sort of like, how can you say, people think essential oils are like, yeah, like just relax or have a
They're really
spa day.
dismissed.
Yeah,
Yeah, as very fairy. And so I wanted to give it a little bit more gravitas.
yeah, and I've been really quoting a lot of what I learned from you in the parasympathetic summit, which is like, you're not going to heal in sympathetic dominance. And that's just so profound. So anytime, same with stress relief, we can kind of poo-poo it and like, oh yeah, I know I should, but I'm going to go back to like doing 5 million things a day. It's so important to relax your body, and that allows
But
detoxification and all
what's
that.
interesting, I mean, you and I are both, we're doers. We get a lot done. We're busy. We have commitments to our family, to other people in our lives. And what used to always kill me when people would be like, you just need to calm your stress. And I'm like, I'm not giving up being a mom. I'm not giving up being a wife. I'm not giving up being an employee. Like, how do I keep my busy life and make this work? And when I realized that it's not about the external environment, it's about your internal response, and you
Mm,
have complete control over that. And oils can help, like literally applying an oil right here helps you shift gears no matter, the world can still be crazy, but you feel calmer in the moment. It's like, okay, that I can do. I can do that because it doesn't require me to rearrange everything else.
yeah, yeah. I think I don't know if it's this book or elsewhere, you talk about, you're packing your kids in the car and it's busy, but you can still use some oils for a few seconds. Or even if we talk about having a busy day, having like a morning routine or an evening routine, or even like
Yes.
an after lunch reset. Like it doesn't have to be all day long that you're in a spa. Although I love to be in a spa all day long. I'm not going to poo-poo a spa, but you can't always be in a spa, but you can do these quick things. And yeah, please note that like essential oils have a lot of potency, and you're going to learn a lot about the systems and how they work in this book, and really a lot about functional medicine, how the brain communicates with the rest of the body. I love your section. Let me see if I can find it on lymphatic detox. Is that what you call it or not? I'm sorry, that wasn't it. No.
Yeah. I mean, I
Vagal.
have the benefit of working with brilliant practitioners like yourself. And so I get to hear like this is, I'm always curious because everyone has a slightly different take on what's really happening. But if you put it all together, you keep hearing the same 5 things over and over. And those are kind of the 5 keys to health that I tried to identify.
Yeah, you've got, I wrote that down somewhere too, but you've got like 5 steps and then kind of implementing the 5 steps every day. Do you want to tell us what the 5 steps are?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, anyone who has any kind of chronic ailment, be it Lyme exposure or autoimmunity or any neurological factor, there are people can be very complicated and they have, different genes and different backgrounds and different life experiences. And I agree with that, but that doesn't mean that these 5 things that seem to be imbalanced in all of them, once you kind of put them in balance, that won't help. So it's most people are kind of, the nervous system has 2 gears, the gas pedal, which is the fight or flight sympathetic branch, and the brake, which is the parasympathetic rest and digest branch. And the example for fight and flight is always like a tiger chasing you down the street. There are not too many tigers running around in Seattle, but it's that anticipatory stress. Oh gosh, I'm worried about my child. I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about my finances, my relationship, what's going on in the world. All of these things trigger the same, chemical cascade in the body because anticipatory stress can keep you alive. And when you're kind of stuck in that high gear, I mean, imagine if you bike in a hilly place, imagine biking in high gear all the time. It makes hills really hard. When you're able to downshift, all of a sudden it's manageable. You can do it. We've had that moment when we're driving and someone cuts us off in traffic and we're okay. Like, whatever, I'm good. Or the next day, the same thing happens and there are 4-letter words flying out of your mouth because you're not as resilient in that moment. If we can kind of help ourselves manually shift into that state of the nervous system, not only where we're better able to digest our food, detoxify our waste, and kind of calm inflammation, but also respond to the people in our life. It's like biking through, the world in low gear. Everything's easy.
Okay. So 1 is kind of sympathetic versus
Parasympathetic.
being in the shift between.
2 is sleep, because we
Okay.
both know if you're not sleeping, it's impossible to heal. 3 is drainage, which I know you do an amazing job talking about, so that you can shepherd the garbage out of the body. 4 is energy to heal, because if you're exhausted and stressed and anxious, everything feels overwhelming. And even the simplest thing feels harder to do. And then the 5th one is just immune modulation, making sure that your immune system isn't overreacting or underreacting.
Okay. Awesome. So I want to find, I called it glymphatic, but it's actually, you called it vagal nerve toxicity. It's like I've never heard that exact term used. And I was like, oh, so that's I
think Christine made that up. Christine Schaffner.
She did? Well, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I wonder what category do you feel that fits in, or does it affect all the categories?
What's really interesting about it is it affects a lot of things. There is a Tufts neuroscientist named Michael Van Eckler who calls it vagus nerve infection hypothesis. But the biggest thing that was interesting to me, the neck is the big bottleneck in the body. And this is the problem with kind of any neuroinflammatory disease. When the brain is cleaning house during sleep, the lymphatic system is car washing it. And then where does the garbage drain to get out of the body? It has to pass through the neck. And the neck's got a lot going on. It's got the structure, the bones, the muscles, the nerves, the lymph, and then also the veins, the vascular system. And they all kind of, they're next to each other and they coexist. But, you know, when you sit in an airplane, if you're in the middle seat and you're next to two slender people like yourself, you can put your arms out, you're not compressed. If you're next to two linebackers, you know, your arms are going to be good luck. It's going to be a long flight, you know, because you don't really have the space. Everything's congested. And so it kind of impedes your ability to function. Same thing in the neck. If the lymph is congested, not only is the garbage not leaving the brain, but recirculating, but it's also lingering right near the vagus nerve. And it can get, nerves have a really high affinity for toxins, especially heavy metals. So they get uptaken into the nerve and then cause this kind of minor infection. But because the vagus nerve is the highway from the brain to the body, body to the brain, it's registering as there's an infection. We need to inflame. We need to cause pain to limit movement. We need to cause fatigue to limit movement. We need to be more sensitive, multi-chemical sensitivity. So it's really this small little infection kind of right here that can set the whole body into cell danger response. And we never quite close the loop. So we're always feeling symptomatic. And a lot of people weren't looking at that. Christine partnered with this Italian doctor, Marco Ruggiero, who I think lives in Arizona now, actually, but they started doing photos, sonograms, like what you do to get an ultrasound of the neck, and looking at how the vagus nerve was congested, the lymph was congested, and they were playing with a bunch of things, but it was topical essential oils applied on the neck in kind of a downward motion that helped to unravel the congestion, the stagnation, and allow everything to just flow out so it could leave the body.
So interesting. I highlighted a bunch of stuff. So I should really recommend this book. I mean, honestly, you're going to learn so much about how the body works. Like, this is like my field. And I'm still like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I didn't really know that nerves could be affected by toxins. Like, I just thought they kind of existed in their own little space. But here
it's a little bit like, you know, if you have like a little, well, even a diffuser, right? If you don't clean your diffuser, mold can grow in the diffuser. You just need to kind of keep things clean and moving and not stagnant.
Yeah. And I recently wrote a blog about lymph, and some things that I learned from it is like when you hear your ears popping, that's kind of like when flow is starting again. And I had gone on for, I don't know, 15 years. At the end of my workday, everything would pop. I'd be pop, 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 kind of lightheaded. And I learned from writing that blog, you know, having high blood pressure, having stress can kind of block your lymph flow because of the same tension you kind of mentioned earlier. Things are kind of cramped. So I think I just get like a low level tension headache and just tension in my neck and shoulders while I'm working. And then at the end of the day, it starts to move again. And I just never, you know, we have these quirks, we don't even know what they would be until you kind of learn about it. And I mentioned to you, I had a concussion a few months ago, and it was just so much stagnation in my neck was why things couldn't drain. Like, there was just so much that needed to drain, but kind of the same stuff, just be intense. You know, it's COVID. I'm not going to get massages and going to the chiropractor as much, and plus the injury. So it just really made me so aware, like, it's so important to take care of our neck and like reduce tension in the body. Again, it sounds kind of like just a thing to do to like be nice to yourself, but it can really hinder normal
it's amazing. I actually think that's one of the main reasons that traumatic brain injuries and concussions have so many kind of lingering negative effects, because so many people don't know to go to the chiropractor and make sure that the structure is aligned, because if it's not aligned, that can impede everything else, and then you're not draining, so you start to get fatigued and headaches, and you know, you can get the vagus nerve toxicity problems. If you can sort your neck, if you can kind of keep your neck fluid and make sure the oxygen gets to your brain, because oxygen, you know, that's the best thing for traumatic brain injuries. They put you in the hyperbaric chamber because oxygen is incredibly healing. That, you know, if people take away nothing else but just, you know, helping to stimulate the vagus nerve and clear out toxicity by applying oils behind the ear on the mastoid bone, and also using oils or castor oil or oils with castor oil along lymph drains more aggressively on the left side. So just massaging down the left side, making sure to massage the left clavicle. That's a little bit of a bottleneck, especially if you're like touching it and it feels tender. It's just good to kind of make sure things move. And then also under the left armpit, like those two things, those are kind of, and sleep as well, but that moves the needle the most in anyone with Lyme and anyone with autoimmunity, with anyone with a head injury. Like those two things, for some people, you'll do that and you'll be like, oh my God, I'm myself again. For other people, it will get you like halfway there, but it's really kind of an important underlying factor. And I feel like oils, I don't think oils are the magic bullet for everything. If you're having a heart attack, go to the hospital. But, for certain things, especially preventative or kind of unraveling and repairing things that you're not necessarily in the intensive care unit yet, they're really good.
Okay. Yeah. And I love that it's a technique. I think we get so hung up on supplements. And when I had my concussion, I was like taking all these supplements, but like my neck was completely jacked. So none of it really helped because, right? Like that's not always the answer. So I think you've got a few favorite oils for lymph movement in particular. You want to share those?
Yeah, what's really interesting about blends is that you can kind of like highlight the best features in everything. Like say you have friends and, the wife's got great hair and the husband's got a great nose and they have a kid who has the perfect nose and great hair. Same thing with oils. You can kind of take the best of both of them. Like, for the vagus nerve, it's clove, which is highly stimulatory and very high in the detoxifying constituent eugenol, with Lyme that has super small molecules. So it gets in and hits that reflex point very quickly. For lymph, you can combine mint, especially spearmint more than peppermint, can be very kind of stimulating and help to move things. But then if you combine it with something that is more of a root plant, meaning that it has deep roots in the earth and kind of triggers more downward motion, like vetiver, that's a really powerful combination because now you're both kind of expanding and removing congestion and also allowing for downward flow.
Okay. I love that. I love a little tip. Just this last year, I've been getting like lymph nodules and only on my left armpit.
Yeah, your left
sure.
armpit does the heavy lifting.
So interesting. So now I know something. I've done a little bit of like clay pack on it, but that's about all I've done.
Castor oil is really amazing for anti-inflammatory, and especially if you don't mind, if sometimes it stains clothes. So if you wear a t-shirt that you don't really care about, it's great to put that kind of under the lymph nodes and then also over the liver gallbladder just before bed, because you're really detoxifying while you're sleeping, and your body heat while you sleep is enough to heat it up.
Yeah, we've interviewed, I don't know if you must know Marisol.
I love her. She's adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, she has so many fun facts about castor oil, and she usually recommends people sleep with it. So we have her kit linked on our shop. And yeah, it's a great time to use oils because there's the heat and just like the right setting. I think you talk a little bit about increasing absorption, and one way is having some warmth. So the pack itself will create that. Awesome. I just want to share some of these symptoms of vagus nerve toxicity since we're talking about it, but you might be like, well, I don't have that or whatever. But anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, brain fog, forgetfulness, digestive challenges. I think last time we talked about the brain-gut connection. They're very much linked to get all that motion going. Leaky gut, tinnitus, thyroid disorders, nausea, blood sugar imbalances. So lots of common things.
Like tinnitus and vertigo, people never know what's going on there. It's often vagus nerve toxicity and lymph drainage. So that combination can make a big difference.
Here's a fun fact, depressing but fun. Over the last 500 years, the amount of toxic metals found in human body has increased 1,000-fold. That's shocking.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, do you remember when we were kids, like sodas came in glass bottles and now they're in like aluminum cans and canned goods, like my grandparents used to put everything in mason jars and now it's all in aluminum. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. And then you said health experts believe the presence of heavy metals may cause an overgrowth of yeast or candida. which is something we do hear a lot about and people suspect. So there's another kind of connection there. So we talked about some for lymph, some oils for vagus nerve. Are there some oils you especially love just straight up for detox?
Yeah, anything that you can do that kind of supports your liver, because as you know, your liver is your biggest organ of detoxification and tonifies it and gives it more energy. So helichrysum and white grapefruit are the ones that are commonly recommended. I also have kind of a proprietary formulation that I include that I love. And then the gallbladder. I feel like the gallbladder is the most overlooked and underrated organ, and it's so important in detoxification and a challenge, especially, when you get to be a certain age and maybe you've had a couple of children and maybe you don't always eat perfectly, but the bile that's stored in the gallbladder it's supposed to flow more like water, and it gets a little bit more viscous like molasses. And so it doesn't flow, which means that it doesn't carry the toxins from the liver to the gut. And so black cumin is actually a great oil that you can either topically apply over the gallbladder, like on the right side of the body, or there are a couple of gallbladder points that you can apply it on. And it just helps to kind of helps the bile flow so that it shepherds the toxins out of the body.
Awesome. We're mentioning some oils that maybe people don't have at home if they're just kind of starting out. I wonder if you want to share some common ones that people may already have that they could
Lavender.
use.
We can talk about lavender.
Yeah, I love it.
Lavender is going to be great for everything. My favorite way to actually assimilate it is in an Epsom salt bath. There's something about, the warm water and the Epsom salt, which is magnesium, and skin being the biggest organ, which is also huge for detoxification. The more you can help your body heat up and sweat out toxins, the more it lessens the burden on other organs. My pro tip, 2 cups of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda, which is alkalizing, and then use your bathtub as a mixing bowl. Like basically put the dry ingredients, add the oil to the dry ingredients, mix it in before you add the water so that the oil doesn't float on the water.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I just throw them in the water.
Most people do. I mean, there is no wrong. It's just this,
And how many drops did you say?
Less is more. You really don't need more than 2 or 3 drops. It goes a long way.
Okay.
And you also, with the hot water, are kind of getting that olfactory benefit as well of smelling it.
So I think you said lavender increases GABA, which is a calming neurotransmitter. Any other?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other like fun things lavender does?
Lavender has been known to boost mood. It can help calm and sedate the body. I think it increases GABA and serotonin. So GABA kind of inhibits overreactivity, and serotonin just boosts happy hormones. Lavender is amazing. If any listeners cook with a wok and sometimes get like oil splattered on their arm, you can put lavender directly on the skin. That's one of the few that you don't need to be as careful about diluting, and it will prevent the burn from getting worse. It'll really calm the burn. It's great for sunburns as well. I like to combine it with colloidal silver. Just make a little cream and put it on the sunburn, especially like if you have kids that get sunburned and they're complaining because it's hard to go to bed. That seems to calm everything right down. Other oils that people use a lot. I love orange oil. I think it's really, all of the citrus blends are really great for kind of boosting the mood, alleviating depression. And in some ways, it's more about how you use them than what you use. Like one of my favorite techniques that I learned while researching the book is this idea of the different hemispheres of the brain perform different functions. And sometimes when one area is more stimulated, it can present as something like anxiety. So if you're prone to anxiety attacks or feeling really anxious, that can be the right forehead, the right frontal lobe, that's just a little overactive. So the way you calm that down is to smell anything through the left nostril. Literally just take the bottle, plug your right nostril, smell for 3 to 7 breaths. It will stimulate the left hemisphere, balance the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And I speak from personal experience. I'm known for anxiety attacks. And this does a couple things. It calms me down right away. And then I've also noted, stresses are additive and cumulative. I think solutions are as well. I've had much fewer anxiety attacks since I've started doing this.
Mm.
To help my focus.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we talked about lymph earlier, and maybe it's not technically the best oil for moving it, but I started to use citrus oil blends on my neck, just sort of, I don't know, intuitively or something when I was sickest with mold and really congested and having postnasal drip. So to me, it does seem to be kind of clearing or moving as
Amazing.
well.
What oils did you use? Which were the ones?
It's like a doTERRA formula called Citrus Bliss. So it has some vanilla and orange, and I can't remember what else. Maybe
Probably grapefruit. Grapefruit's really good for, they think it's good for cellulite because it helps to move fluid.
Oh yeah, it does. And then I interviewed with Anne-Louise Gittleman, and I think she said, was it cyprus? She also likes for the lymph. I can't remember.
Cyprus I use that more for circulation, and actually that clavicle point, when everyone was worried about respiratory illness, I was really putting a lot of cyprus kind of on the 2 points.
Okay.
On the clavicles, because I feel like that, the lung barrier, we all have barriers. We have our skin barrier, we have our lung barrier. It's a little bit like a moat around the castle. If the invading army can't get past the moat, they can't get to the castle. If whatever pathogen can't get through your lung barrier, it can't get into your body and cause any kind of inflammation. So cypress has been shown to be really great for respiratory things. You can smell it, you can topically apply it.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Are you speaking on her podcast for your book?
Anne-Marie?
Anne-Louise Gittleman?
Yeah, I did. I think she already aired it. She is so fun. I love, she is gallbladder queen. No one else talks about the gallbladder as well as she does. And I'm just
Oh my gosh. She's like my heroine. I was on her show, but then she's like, quick fire, tell me your 10 favorite minerals for detox. And I'm like, I don't think that's way too hard for me to just do top of mind because she's so knowledgeable. She's just like an encyclopedia.
Mine would probably be all of the phase 2 nutrients to
support. Oh, let's hear it. What are your favorite phase 2 nutrients for phase?
Well, my issue is really the sulfation. So that BioPure broccoli sprouts is really good for that. There's also some designs for health phase 2 supplements that I like, but I'm constantly playing with that. And I'm playing with that with oils too. Like Tatis Karazian spoke the other week, and he was talking all about flavonoids, and flavonoids are in essential oils as well. So I've been trying to figure out, because the problem with slow methylators, slow phase 2 people, everything pretty much mobilizes phase 1, and phase 1 makes all the toxins more accessible so that you can then phase 2 turn them into water and get rid of them. But if you're really good at kind of mobilizing the junk and really bad at then converting it, you have a lot of toxicity that's lingering in your body, and that contributes to fatty liver and all these problems. So I'm like, how can I upregulate my phase 2 without upregulating my phase 1 as well? So I'm constantly using myself as the human guinea pig to figure that out.
I think I'll think on that topic too, because as people try to detox, yeah, you'll get people who are really reactive, like they can't do much because they're like, bah, I feel like side effects as soon as I detox. So maybe I should look at phase 2 for them. We sell broccoli sprouts. They're pretty amazing. They have so many capabilities in one ingredient. So
yeah. Glutathione is good. I'm just not sure. I've played with a lot of them, and some I think are better than others. Like I do like Chris Shade's Quicksilver, the liposomal glutathione, but other ones that I've tried, I'm like, I don't really think it's working. And same with vitamin C. Vitamin C theoretically is fantastic, but I'm not sure that all of them are the same bioavailability.
Yeah. I'm going to interview somebody for the mold summit I'll do next. And I guess I don't know if it's different molds go through different detox pathways, but their sort of point is, I know, right? That you can't only give glutathione, you have to you have to support all these different pathways. So it's probably a bit of what you're talking about. So yeah, I'll interview.
Well, and for mold, a really good, one of the big problems that is it's not just remediating your house, it's then remediating your body, and things can live in your sinus cavities for a really long time with really close proximity to the brain. So like blue tansy, or I have a sinus blend that I share in the book anything that you can do to kind of, you can just put some on a little Q-tip and kind of circle around the inside of the nasal cavity, or for severe mold cases, the sinus support blend, actually sticking a Q-tip in your nose for like 20 minutes and just holding it there to really
Oh,
help
wow.
eradicate the mold.
Oh, I like that tip. Yeah, I just had a client earlier, and it's amazing. Like, her house really isn't that moldy, but her body is awfully moldy, and it may have been there for 30 years since she was in school, when she was in a, a crummy apartment or whatever. So it's interesting, the things over time you learn, and you're like, geez, still her mold
Yeah.
levels are so high. And super cool. So I always say, if you don't know essential oils, you're missing a huge piece of your natural medicine cabinet. And my clients usually know a lot about nutrition and know a lot about supplements, but sometimes they don't yet know about essential oils, and they can be incredibly powerful. Like, they were a huge support to me when I was going through my mold recovery. And reading this really reminded me to use them when I'm feeling anxious, or to use them when, and I didn't even use them at all when I had my concussion. I just didn't, you're not in your best place. After there's a lot of things I'm like, why didn't I think of that? They're so simple, and I had them, and I could have just been using them to, massage my neck and calm I was so anxious, so it would have been so nice. Barbara, I think she was saying to put it to smell it, or put it on a Q-tip, right?
Yeah, I put it on a Q-tip, and you can either kind of just circulate it on the inside of the nose and see how that helps. For really severe cases, you would like put on a Q-tip and actually just leave it kind of up in your nasal passageway, not in a place that it feels uncomfortable, but just to kind of allow a longer interaction with the oils.
I like that. Yeah, this can be. I learned from a naturopath to do this kind of technique before you put them up there. It really helps open you up. So I love it. I mean, this is a really dense book, so we are not going to cover it all today, but I'd recommend to get it. It does make a really pretty gift, or just a pretty book for your collection.
No, it's
only
kind of a
$20.
Disney blue.
Yeah, is it still on sale, or what's?
It's on sale, and it's still both Target and Amazon have it for $15.
It's a great deal. Is it in the actual store at Target?
It's so funny. I actually have to, I have to go on a toilet paper run tomorrow, so I'll let you know. I don't know if it's in the actual store. It is in Target online.
That's so exciting. Well, congratulations. Like, you definitely deserve it. And I hope that people picking this up lightly, thinking it's a spa book, get a really fantastic education, because it's so dense.
The part too, like for anyone who already has a bunch of oils and just wants other new ideas, it's a total like, here are my recipes.
Thank you. I wanted to mention that you do that, which is amazing.
Well, it got to the point during COVID where, all these people, it kind of breaks my heart to know I can help people and I can't ship to them. So I'm like, I'm just going to put the recipes in there because it's on Kindle. They can buy it anywhere on the planet and just do it themselves.
I think it's a cool theory, because a lot of people, like me included, I could be making a lot of things by myself, but I'd rather just buy them already made.
We went raspberry picking one summer, and my daughter and her friend were like, we want to make raspberry jam, which seemed like a fantastic idea until I realized how much jam we had. I still have jam in my freezer, and I gave away as much as I could, everyone I could think of, like, oh, thank you for, being such a good neighbor. Here you go.
You're like, I'm not doing this for 5 more years. Yeah. So
I actually I have great, deep admiration for people who do things themselves. There's some things, like I definitely make my own toothpaste, my own deodorant, like certain things that I can make in smaller quantities. I do myself, but I sometimes, like, I don't bake my own bread. I buy bread.
Yeah, we can't do it all. I just wanted to share, I don't know if people can see this, but this is kind of the how-to section. She lists like 10 different oils for lymphatic flow, how to apply, when to apply, and kind of goes on like that for different conditions, the thyroid, the hypothalamus. So you can get really specific, and Jodi is just so good at like these really focused uses of oils that are really effective. So thank you so much for being on, Jodi. We appreciate it.
Oh, I love you. It's always fun to see you.
Likewise. Well, let me put this link in the chat. This is like the book gift. It's a free chapter. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically 25 ways to activate the vagus nerve. So if you love oils, that's one way. You know, just things that I found that work. And you don't need to do all 25. You basically just need to pick one and say, this is what I'm going to try. And just do it, you know, once or twice a day.
Okay. And then I'll put the Amazon link on here just so it's
thank you.
for people.
Yeah, and actually, would you leave a review? I'm trying to get people to leave reviews. That apparently helps.
Yeah, and since I bought one, I'll be a verified.
Thank you.
That helps. Yes. Okay. We got 18. That's a start. It just came out, right?
Yeah. I'm trying. I told you, I'll tell you like all the things that I learned that you're supposed to do.
Oh, I would love it. Yeah, you seem like you're holding it together pretty well considering.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's actually why I did this. There's a part of me that's always trying to figure out, how does this really work? You know, like when I worked at Microsoft and they're like, it's very 80-20 rule here. You know, you only 20% of what you do really matters. So it's important to figure out what's the 20% that moves the needle and keep doing that. So that's what I'm always trying to do with health. Like what makes the biggest difference?
Okay. Well, I want to hear it for books.
Okay, cool.
So we'll get together when this calms down for you. Well, thanks for everybody for being on today. Next week, our guests kind of shifting. So I think we're going to be talking about minerals, but it's a little bit TBD, but we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Jodi.
Thank you.